Justin Trudeau has once again goose-stepped himself into the role of tyrant, not only after the fact of his endless persecution of the people who were in the trucker protest in Ottawa. Well, we see he went after the sale of handguns to make sure there were no new weapons being sold in Canada. He's gone consistently after the people from the trucker protest after the fact. He stole their money, or at least attempted to, when it came down to the donations that were given from places like GoFundMe and Give, Send, Go, as well as limiting people's capacity to move throughout the economic system by debanking people who were actually at the protest, as well as Canadian citizens who had had their information released by companies like GoFundMe and Give, Send, Go because they were doxxed. And with that, Justin Trudeau also persecuted those people with an attempt to debank them as well. And now we see he's coming with an online censorship bill that will truly take the cake when it comes to the fact of government trying to regulate the internet. Let's go ahead and jump into this. Justin Trudeau and his administration truly understanding the fact of the big threat to the government is that of decentralized information and the access to it through the internet. And because of that, they're trying to regulate podcasts now, because that is how many people are getting their information and their news is from decentralized sources from many different perspectives across the Overton window. And with that, it means people aren't listening to the establishment. So people like Justin Trudeau and the other authoritarians in government have to crack down. Let's go ahead and jump in and see what we've got. I would argue Canada is not a serious country, and the Canadian people have no capacity to activate and tap into the revolutionary spirit. Many of the ways that much of the people in the West have been completely pacified out of their capacity to tap into their revolutionary spirit, even here within the United States, as they've been completely put into luxury with bread and circuses. We now see exactly what happens with the fall of an empire, which is what we are now going through currently. We're going to go ahead and start this off with Elon Musk. Let's go ahead and see what we've got here. Elon Musk says, Trudeau is trying to crush free speech in Canada. Shameful. And this all comes from a tweet that was put out by Glenn Greenwald where he made everyone aware of this. We will be jumping into that tweet in just a moment, but I want to get the reactions from multiple different people. And here we see from Voluntaryist Keith, which this is Keith Knight. Keith Knight is someone who is a big part of the Libertarian Institute. Please go give the Libertarian Institute a follow. Go give the Mises Institute a follow. Genuinely cannot recommend these places enough. Antiwar.com, also an incredible source to get your information. If you want to get pieces of info that would be news context, that would be completely devoid of anything that the corporate press will talk about, because, well, let's face it, they don't like talking about the reactions to their wars, but antiwar.com certainly does. Alrighty, so Keith says, so Justin, there's been a viral clip of your parliament giving a standing ovation to a national socialist. How do you respond? Justin. And he responds with, we need to take major steps toward modernizing Canada's broadcasting framework. And by modernizing Canada's broadcasting framework, we all know that that means censor and regulate it heavily to the point where no dissenting voices can come to the top and rise to prominence. On to Joshua Smith from Break the Cycle. Joshua, who will be running under the presidency banner of the Libertarian Party soon, who will be challenging Michael Rechtenwald to be the front runner. I will be making videos on both Joshua and Michael Rechtenwald soon. Stay tuned for those. Give it a follow if you are willing to go ahead and watch those and if you're interested. He says, Canada is a giant prison. And this is absolutely true. And I believe that they don't have the capacity to tap into the revolutionary spirit, like I said, that would allow them to free themselves from this prison because of the tyrants which rule over them. Canada is known for being nice, polite, kind people. Now let's go ahead and just jump into this tweet from Glenn Greenwald. The Canadian government, armed with one of the world's most repressive online censorship schemes, has announced that all of the online streaming services that offer podcasts must formally register with the government to permit regulatory controls. Let's go ahead and jump into a full screen of this image so we can go ahead and break it down. From the Canadian government's website itself, it says CRTC takes major step forward to modernize Canada's broadcasting framework. Man, it's almost like we're going to be modernizing it by, well, I don't know, incorporating a new censorship regime so we can go ahead and, make it more modern, fit for that of the Orwellian age we live in today. Today, the CRTC is advancing its regulatory plan to modernize Canada's broadcasting framework and ensure online streaming services make meaningful contributions to Canada and its Indigenous content. It's almost like we're couching that authoritarianism under the banner of progressive activism once more. Wow, isn't that fascinating? On May 12th, 2023, the CRTC launched its first public consultations. After thoroughly examining all the evidence on the public record, including over 200 interventions, the CRTC is issuing its first two decisions. The first CRTC decision is setting out which online streaming services need to provide information about their activities in Canada. Online streaming services that operate in Canada offering broadcasting content and earn $10 million or more in annual revenue will need to complete a registration form by November 28, 2023. Registration collects basic information, is only required once, and can be completed in just a few steps. Yeah, because they only need to data bank your information once so they can put you in the list of someone who is considered a deplorable. Much like Hillary Clinton considered many of the people who voted for Donald Trump when she said that she considers a large portion of the MAGA voting base to be simply a basket of deplorables, end quote. And with that, that came a massive turn of the hand when it came to showing the people that are not in power, being that of the civilian populace in the United States, what the elites think of you. They think of you as nothing more than scum on the bottom of their shoe, and they will gladly wipe it away with whatever force they see necessary, no matter what happens to you, nor your family, nor your loved ones. Alrighty. Second, the CRTC is setting conditions for online streaming services to operate in Canada. These conditions will take effect today and require certain online streaming services to provide the CRTC with information related to their content and specific subscribership. The decision is also requiring those services to make content available in a way that is not tied to specific mobile or internet services. Isn't that interesting? A third consultation is going. It considers contributions traditional broadcasters and online streaming services will need to make to support Canadian Indigenous content. I cannot get over the fact it's like, well, we're going to actually have to support Canadian Indigenous content. It's like, what does that even mean? They don't even explain it. They just use these blanket terms to sound like they're good people because, look at us, we care so much about the minorities and the Indigenous people. Meanwhile, they really don't. They just use them as a flag to wave to act like they're good people. The CRTC will hold a 3-week public proceeding starting on November 20th, 2023, and we'll hear from 129 inventors representing a broad range of interest. Quotes we see are, we are developing a modern broadcasting framework that can adapt to changing circumstances. Oh, like changing narratives that people are finally understanding the ability to expose the bullshit that's being purported by the establishment and the corporate press. So we're going to be able to have to change those narratives so we can change the circumstances of what's surrounding the people that are distributing this information. Bullshit. To do that, we need to broaden engagement and robust public records. We appreciate the significant participation during the first phase and look forward to hearing a diversity of perspectives at our contributions proceeding in November. Do you really think they give a damn about what any of the people in Canada actually have to say about any of this? Well, we really care about hearing a diversity of perspectives. Well, if that was the case, you wouldn't have shut down the trucker protests, debanked those people, attacked them endlessly, maligned them in the media, Justin Trudeau saying they are akin to that of Nazis. Meanwhile, the people who are leading the rendition of "Oh Canada" was that of Indigenous drummers. You know, the people like they claim to care so much about when they're trying to represent people of Canada and the Indigenous people within Canada and the diverse perspectives amongst them. No, they don't actually care about that. They just care about the fact that you do not toe the line. All right, let's go ahead and jump in. And here we see Justin Trudeau. This reconciliation matters and our commitment to advancing it. In true partnership with Indigenous peoples across the country, it is unwavering that we have a message that we share with community members, survivors and leaders, and the Lac La Ronge yesterday. More on that here. So we're going to go ahead and play this, and I'm going to go ahead and turn the volume down so you don't have to hear Justin Trudeau talk. That way your ears are saved because I already watched this. You won't have to suffer the same way I did. And we're just going to play this. And what this reminds me of is Justin Trudeau sitting here. He's claiming about the fact of how noble of a leader he is, how much he cares about the oppressed minority. And all I can think about is Barack Obama. After Barack Obama finished his first term in office and won the second term, and he was running to become president for his second term, what happened? Could he say that he ended the wars? No. All he did was follow all of the Bush-era policies, start more wars, fire up a drone bombing campaign in Pakistan, fund the war of genocide in Yemen by the Saudis because he wanted to placate them because they were good for American... they were just great for American policy when it came to how we were handling oil. No. We can't have any of these things actually come to light. What we're going to do is Barack Obama came out and said, I'm for gay marriage. He didn't come out and talk about the fact that he was able to do all of the things that he said that we were going to stop. He didn't stop torture. He didn't stop the wars. What did he do? He allowed the bankers to be bought out, bled the fucking people in the United States completely dry with the banker bailouts, leaving them completely rotted out, which is what started the Occupy Wall Street movement, as well as the Tea Party movement, that then pushed onto Wall Street, saying we are the 99% versus the 1%. It's us, the people who don't own banks, versus the people who own the banks. And then what did Barack Obama do? He came out and said, well, don't you worry. I'm going to do everything right because I'm going to stand for the thing that matters most. not the economy, not saving people that lost 30 to 40% of their net value when it came to the economic crash that we suffered. No, he came out and said, I'm the first president that stands for gay marriage. And why did he do that? One, it's a cloak that he can shield because when you fail on policy, you pivot to culture. But another big thing is the consensus amongst the populace had just changed. It had just swayed to 51% amongst that of many of the polling showing that a large portion of the American populace, that being 51%, were now in favor of gay marriage. And with that, Barack Obama changed his tune because both him and Hillary Clinton ran in 2008 being against gay marriage. But much like we see with many of the people in the political class, right as the tune amongst the populace shifts, so does what they say. Alrighty, we're going to go ahead and jump into this article we have from Newsweek as well as this one from Axios, just covering the nature of the history of Justin Trudeau's authoritarian perspective with how he handled the trucker protest as well as his confiscation of firearms. Let's go. Firing off with this article from Newsweek, and we don't really have many articles or anything talking about the online censorship bill from Canada. Nothing that I found that was actually quality when it came to the process of analyzing what was being said, so I figured I would just break it down myself. Alrighty, we're going to go ahead and jump into this. It says, banks have begun freezing accounts linked to trucker protests. And this is in 2/18/2022. Well, here's the deal. If you thought Justin Trudeau was someone that could be trusted, then why was he trying to strip people's capacity to move throughout the economic system? He wanted to remove people's ability to feed their families. And if you are willing to allow someone's children to go hungry, at what point are you not a useless piece of shit that doesn't deserve the oxygen that you breathe? There are trees wasting the resources that they output just to make sure Justin Trudeau can draw breath. Unbelievable. What we see is Canadian banks have begun freezing the accounts of people linked to the trucker protests in Canada, and that the federal government now promising to take more accounts offline in the coming days in an attempt to clear demonstrations from Ottawa, which has been occupied for nearly a month. On February 17th, Deputy Prime Minister Freeland said in a press conference that the financial institutions have started freezing accounts and canceling credit cards in accordance with the Emergencies Act, which Prime Minister Justin Trudeau invoked earlier this week. The powers granted by the act would allow banks to target the accounts of people who have donated to crowdfunding platforms like the fundraising campaigns of GoFundMe and GiveSendGo that have fueled the ongoing protests. But Freeland said she would not give specifics of whose accounts were being frozen. Except they did. The information got leaked. All those people got doxxed. It's almost like it was done intentionally. On to the fact of Canada's ban on the handgun sales that went into effect recently. This happened... Oh my God. The fact that this happened, and there are people in Canada that are people who believe in the fact of defending themselves. And I'm not going to say the Second Amendment because Canada doesn't have a Second Amendment, but they believe in their natural rights to self-defense. Meanwhile, the people in government who are protected by armed guards at all times are trying to strip your capacity to defend yourself with firearms. The ultimate equalizer is something they want to be able to remove from you so you have no capacity to defend yourself from them. Here we see Canada's new nationwide gun sale ban goes into effect as a handgun sale ban, and it went on Friday. Why it matters, the ban in Canada is the latest move to reduce gun violence and slow the number of handguns in circulation. So here's the deal, I will give them this. Many of the people that freak out about guns in the United States talk about the fact of AR-15s and the assault rifle and the danger of AR-15s and automatic weapons. One, can't even get automatic weapons legally, so they clearly don't even know what they're talking about. I would have a lot more respect for the people that complain about firearms and gun violence if they actually knew anything about firearms or any of the laws that surround them, but they don't. They just have hollow platitudes about complaining about the fact of the problem with guns. Meanwhile, how you would actually have a polite society is to have an armed society. Because if someone was to go up and go commit homicide, many of the times, the reason they do these things is because they are in gun-free zones. A la public parks, schools, these are places that are defended by government because they are owned by government because it is government property, which means there's no proper security. And government loves gun-free zones. And you know who also loves gun-free zones? Predators that are willing to prey on innocent people. And with that comes the tragedies of why we have so many school shootings. And that's not just the only reason. I'd argue it also comes down with the mental health epidemic that is rotting the United States from the inside out thanks to the pharmaceutical industry, absolutely destroying the internal machinations of the family structure when it comes to the process of just completely ginning people up through mass amounts of drugs and doping them up endlessly, which completely desensitizes them to the thing that allows them to detach themselves to their humanity at most. I'm going to go ahead and leave it there. That's a tirade that will end up making this video so much longer than I want it to be. Also not completely on topic. Details, they say. The ban will bar anyone from buying or selling or transferring handguns within Canada, and it will stop people from bringing new handguns into the country, Canadian Prime Minister Justin Trudeau said in an announcement. He said Canadians have the right to feel safe in their homes, their schools, and in their place of worship. You know, it would make a lot of people in Canada feel safer in their homes if they had a gun to defend themselves so they could worry about shooting the person that broke in so that they could defend their family. But no, Justin Trudeau doesn't give a flying fuck about that. He's perfectly okay with grounding the civilian populace of Canada into the dirt as long as it means he remains in power. I'm going to go ahead and leave it there. Thank you for watching if you got this far. I appreciate it. Thumbs up if you liked it. Thumbs down if you didn't. Tell me where I'm wrong in the comment section down below. Canada is not a serious country anymore. I'll go ahead and leave a video linked right here if you want to go ahead and watch a video I made recently about how Canada is not a serious country. I also have a video talking about Canada's history with MAID and the process of all of their mandated suicide that is being pushed top down from the government when it comes to the process of medically assisted dying, which MAID being medical assistance in dying, now being put available to that of people who are 18 suffering from depression in places like Canada. This is a genuine threat to the sustainability of a free society and a healthy people. This also comes down with the fact that what I was talking about with the pharmaceutical industry absolutely barbarizing the mentality of so many people, destroying them, leading the fact of the cultural decay that has pushed the point of so many people wanting to go into MAID being medical assistance in dying. Thank you for watching if you got this far. Thumbs up if you liked it. Thumbs down if you didn't. Stay lovely. Stay great. Peace out.